me. Okay, so my point is that I'm not out here not wearing pants, trying to blast quick endorphins at your face with video reminders that people are nice to each other. That's good for grandma who gives a turd, but not for Cody's posse. No, let's talk about the real shit. The real good stuff, the lasting good news that rocks you to your core and gives you that long-term hope for humanity. Are you ready? So majestic. That's two pandas raw dogging, brought to you by Horny Bear Energy at the Ocean Park, Hong Kong, where pandas Ying Ying and Lele have been enclosed together for over 10 years with no signs of mating until the park closed down for the quarantine. Apparently doing what we're all doing in these troubling times, which is just boning whatever's around the house. But okay, see, that's the one shot. Quick fix news that John does. What elevates our show, you see, is to point out that as a species, pandas are growing in population, having recently been taken off the endangered species list, as according to the World Wrestling Foundation's announcement. But that said, it should be noted that pandas have a long way to go. Growing economic development means that the population, which is still small, is also fragmenting due to construction of highways and transmission lines. So watch your pandas, y'all! They still need our help, and maybe soon we can live in a world where there's hundreds, if not thousands of videos of them grunting out orgasms for our own amusement. Speaking of animals, in China, the city of Shenzhen has become the first to ban the consumption of dogs and cats, despite how delicious they look. She's so delicious. Yes, she is. Who's delicious? Is it you? Are you delicious? Yes, she is. Now, I get that there's this extreme racism when it comes to what other people eat overseas versus what we eat here. And the whole Chinese virus from eating bats bullshit coming from a country that enjoys rattlesnake and fucking Frito pie and mayonnaise and Spam and all that other disgusting stuff we love so much. And you could argue that cats and dogs are no different than a pig, or I guess even a soulless lobster. And what we decide to eat versus what we have as pets is hilarious and arbitrary. Like, cats are basically just furry lobsters we keep in our homes, is my point. We can talk all day about that, but it's still nice to see a species, one that many of us happen to adore, not be eaten. And it's nice to see that the entire country is moving in that direction, albeit because of disease concerns as opposed to humane reasons. Because dogs and cats are gross. For example, mine is licking her asshole right now. It's gross. So don't eat them unless they cross you. Speaking of not murder, the death penalty is and has been on the decline in America, and 11 of the US states where it is legal to do haven't actually carried out a death sentence in more than a decade. Just last month, Colorado became the 22nd state to completely eliminate it, half of that number happening in the last 15 years. It's getting less popular because maybe it's really messed up for the government to kill people for crimes. So that's at least a step in the normal direction in an incredibly abnormal justice system, you know? And we should keep talking about that, especially now because of reasons. I'm not exactly pro-virus yet, but this current pandemic is really a good time to reflect on the positive potential of humankind, you know? Like, just those stories about all the various cities that have seen wildlife return and all the smog around the world clear kind of gives me hope that even if we humans burn ourselves out, the Earth itself will go on. And in fact, can't fucking wait until we all die so nature can reclaim our streets. Good for them. Like, maybe we can actually, after this, choose a month for everyone to stay indoors regardless of a pandemic. Or just work harder to make the world cleaner because it's killing us, you know? Like, not being outside, not polluting the air, might even be saving lives right now. We don't talk about it much, but air pollution kills a lot of people every year. So having less of it is, good news. So maybe we should think about that in this time where we have a lot of time to think about things, and then try to work really hard to change, because apparently just these past few weeks have made a huge difference. Imagine what we can do if we, wanted to. We can do that. And all the gross things we're doing in isolation, it's called multitasking, and it's great. For example, here's a recent study that found that if we work really hard, practice sustainable fishing, put in protection policies, avoid coastal destruction and general pollution, then the world's oceans could be completely restored in only 30 years. That is pretty huge, and means that there's still hope. We just have to work for it. As the scientists behind the study note, this would cost billions of dollars a year, but would bring benefits 10 times as high. So we can do this, folks. Or maybe not this country so much, because, But other countries are starting the process. China, for example, did the unthinkable and banned US imports of plastic waste. It used to be that we did most of our recycling by just giving it to them like a bunch of lazies. So while this new import ban puts us in a bit of a snag, they did it so that they could more efficiently deal with their own growing waste problem, something that was ultimately good for a country that produces a third of all ocean waste. Now they're in the middle of their own recycling revolution, banning single-use plastics while enacting heavy restrictions on the citizens. While the US is now struggling to deal with their own garbage, it gives us an opportunity to invest in our own domestic facilities, which would boost our own independence and economy. Which I think is a thing conservatives like, right? So it's good? It's the growing pains of a world trying to clean up their own trash. Meanwhile, there's an effort happening right damn now to clean up the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a thing that exists. Thanks to a Dutch inventor coming up with a design for catching waste while using the natural currents of the ocean while not disrupting marine life. It's called the Ocean Cleanup Project, and you can, donate to it if you want. Like if you're a multimillionaire married to a multimillionaire pretending to do a ramshackle DIY feel-good news show in your literal mansion, you could donate to it. Is the project perfect? Nah, it's not perfect. But it's f***ing something. Nothing I am talking about right now is perfect, you guys, but it's rather a start in the right direction that we desperately need to go in. It's all a very slow process, but we're getting there. Despite the many people out there desperate to drag us backward, there's a very real possibility that humans were designed to always grow. It's frustrating a lot of the times because we want things to move faster, and it feels like we're not getting the justice we deserve, John, but we just can't stop pushing forward, right? That's why it's better to have a show about good news that discusses the positive things we have to still work toward, as opposed to just feel-good stories designed to keep you complacent. Look! Here's a new blood test that detects 50 types of cancer, many of which are hard to detect at early stages. That's like Star Trek shit, but we still have to work towards it. And here's a bra that specifically detects breast cancer. Also, Star Trek shit, also still in early stages. And here's a smart toilet that also detects cancer from your ass stuff, and actually identifies you by scanning your anus like a fingerprint, because apparently all our anuses are different, like moist snowflakes. And sure, that brings up a lot of privacy and security issues about identity and personal data, but isn't the moist snowflake anus thing kind of beautiful to know? And remember that while all our anuses may not be the same, what is inside of them is. And that's what counts. So okay, maybe I was too hard about that other good news video, and should take my own advice here and try to be positive. So look, John, anus brother, I'm not saying there's no room for the two of us, but just as a pointer, maybe you could do better by actually pointing out the systemic issues that make these alleged feel-good stories necessary, and by looking at the broad changes that are positive instead of single-shot stories of good deeds, Just a little constructive.
And if you were one of the ones that didn't think my intro could be better, that's because you were just too busy simply ripping me off. That's right, in Okanagan, Canada, @Radio Kepler anointed himself as my SGN co-anchor without consulting